Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Michael of embodythestate.com, and in this video we're going to be covering self-concept and why it's much more easier to change than you think it is. We're going to debunk, the whole concept that it's a separate thing from you that you have to work towards first, and then you can start focusing on your goals. And I'm going to explain to you why. And what I'm going to tell you is not based off my random opinion or from watching other YouTube videos. It's literally written within books upon books upon books upon books that are all agreed upon by the greatest minds to ever exist that all teach the law of assumption, right? I'm talking about source material. And we're just going to dive right into it, by the way. So self-concept, it's this thing that a lot of people, they seem to think that it's this separate thing where it's like, okay, if I want money, I have to first fix my self-concept and then I can start focusing on money. And they seem to think, or with SPs, right? They'll be like, I have to work on my self-concept and then I can manifest SP and then I can get them easily. And to an extent, they're not 100% wrong, right? You're not wrong for thinking that, but you guys got to realize what self-concept is, and you got to understand what states are, right? States of consciousness. So when I say states, I'm referring to states of consciousness. States are simply what you're aware of in that moment, things that you're aware of being, right? So for example, if I right now let's say I'm anxious, right? If I'm anxious, I'm in a state of anxiety. I'm in that state. I'm in that awareness. I'm conscious of this, right? And therefore, that state has certain beliefs. And in that state of anxiety, there are beliefs I have that allow me to even feel anxiety. Just how if I was in a state of feeling loved by my SP that I'm manifesting, even though I don't have them, I would then have to have beliefs due to that state that carries those beliefs that would allow me to even feel loved or grateful or relieved, appreciative, thankful, you name it, doesn't matter. Same thing with money. If I'm manifesting abundance and let's say I'm dead broke and then I go to start thinking of, okay, creation is finished, so that means those realities exist where I have that money. How would I actually feel if I had that money, right? What would I be doing? And when I start thinking about what I'd be doing and how I'd be spending the money, I'm going to start feeling abundant and wealthy and whatever comes with that. And that same thing comes from the state of consciousness, which has different beliefs, right? So every state has a different set of beliefs. And this is something that a lot of people get twisted. And this is why I love telling people, especially the ones I work with, when they come to me with this idea that I have to fix myself, right? The word fix is something I see used so commonly, in my life when it comes to people that I help, right? Whether it's, clients or even viewers that ask questions in the comments sometimes. And I love kind of debunking this because when you realize that you're already perfect, like there are states where you're already perfect as is, right? Like right now you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. But you thinking that you have to change your self-concept and that this thing you have to fix, these subconscious beliefs that you have to change, or otherwise nothing's going to work out and you're going to lose your manifestation when you do get it, all this stuff. It doesn't exist. It's only something you're giving power to. But, even Seth goes into detail and explains that, in his own words, he says you have the conscious mind for a good reason, right? And explains that you're not at the mercy of subconscious drives. There's nothing sabotaging you, right? I like to say the word monster. There's no monster sabotaging you that if you don't fix the self-concept and before you start working on SP or money or, whatever it may be, health, height for those people manifesting height, whatever it may be, that's not the case. When you understand the law on a deeper level and you truly realize that each state has its own set of beliefs, you understand then to think you have to focus on self-concept first and say all these nice things about yourself and really just try to spam your mind with techniques and effort before you can magically then start working towards, having identities, or in other words, entering states of being loved and being with your person. You're just doing more work. It's like I tell people all the time, imagine that you're doing a sprint, right? Or you're just running. And everyone beside you is going to be running with no obstacles in front of them. But for some reason, you decide, I'm going to make things harder for myself. I'm going to put obstacles in front of me. And that's where a lot of people mess up. And then they get tired and they go through this whole journey of chasing ghosts. I'm telling you, if you want SP or if you want money, your job is to simply enter the states of already being that person who has the things that you want, right? Whether it's love, whether it's financial success, height, anything health related, doesn't matter. But your job is to simply go to the end. That's why Neville taught in his books. He didn't tell you have to fix your self-concept and it's a separate entity. And if you don't attack it and change it and force it to be the way that you need it to be before you start, using your imagination to contemplate the end and return to the end for the goal you actually want. He didn't say, oh, you have to do this, right? Instead, he's always telling you to go to the end, right? He explains that states have their own belief, and you'll realize when the more educated you get and the more practice you have, you'll realize that when you enter a state of fulfillment, of knowing, of having your desire, whatever it may be, you're gonna notice that shift within yourself. And for me personally, I'm not saying that if this doesn't happen to you that you're doing something wrong. But for me personally, when I accept a new fact, so let's say hypothetically, let's say I want some fancy car that I don't have, and all of a sudden I have this strong desire to have it. My job is to consciously take my mind and to kind of narrow my aim, right? It's to not sin when I think about my desire, right? And a lot of people don't realize when you're sinning, it's when you're missing the mark. So what I mean by that is that fancy car, right? So let's say right here in a straight line, right? Like straight, I'm looking at you. That's a straight line, right? That's the mark. And everything around me, anything outside of fulfillment is all on the outside. It's here and it's there. A lot of the times we're going to be aiming, right? We're going to be looking and we're going to sway and sway and sway. And our job is to kind of close the gap, narrow it down so that instead of going all the way here and all the way there, there's only a little bit that we can move to the point that it gets still. And my job is to guide my mind into being still in that straight line. And that straight line is the acceptance of the fact that I already have my desire. I already have that car, right? And when I think of that car, my job is to once again do it again, go in a straight line and accept it, right? Align myself with that. I'm supposed to accept and become the person who already has that car. And I'm supposed to embody that state of consciousness, right? I'm supposed to become aware of having something that logically, right in here, I know I don't have on the outside, but I know that my imagination is the only true reality. And if I know and trust that my imagination is the true reality in here, then I understand it doesn't matter about the distractions here or there. What matters is here, because this is where the goal is. And that's where the light at the end of the tunnel is. So I'm going to keep my eye focused on that light. And when I do that, it literally, I become the person that has it. And my job is to frequently return to that so that it becomes a habit. That state becomes natural to me. And once it becomes natural to me, the results are instant, right? And that might take me a day. That might take me 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. Who cares? It doesn't matter the amount of time it takes for that new state to become natural to me. But what matters is being consistent, right? Because if you're not consistent, then what you're doing is you're just delaying the inevitable, right? You're delaying. I say it's inevitable, meaning you're going to get your desires, but you're delaying it, right? Do you want to wait 3, 4, 5, 12 months, 24 months, 5 years? I've seen some people try to manifest for 10 years straight, right? And I know you guys don't want to wait 10 years for your stuff. But if you don't want to do that, you have to realize all I have to do is steady my aim, and every time I got to hit that mark. And by hitting that mark, I am becoming that person. And the part that everyone makes a mistake on is they don't realize that when you hit that mark and you fully accept that you have something within, knowing that the outside is going to conform if you stay persistent in this new assumption, if you keep returning to it, is that they always think that, oh no, that's not good enough because I haven't changed my self-concept yet. That thing I just said, the whole I haven't changed my self-concept, that's a state in itself. And they're believing that with more conviction than they're believing the mark that they're hitting. And by doing that, you are making your natural dwelling state the one of lack again, right? And you're kind of ruining all the work you've done. You have to realize that that state, when I think of that fancy car and I give it to myself, or whatever manifestation it is, health, wealth, love, it doesn't matter. But when I think of that goal and I hit that mark, it's my job to simply understand, because I study every day. I'm someone that loves to read. I read for years and years, I read all the time. And thankfully, I didn't have to read for years and years before I learned this. I learned all this stuff in my first few months of studying because I was very efficient with it. I took it seriously. But when I hit that mark and I become the one who has it, I understand that that wish fulfilled, right? And all the things that come with it, which is for me, I get an added bonus of emotion, right? And in one of my previous videos, I always tell you guys, you don't need emotion, but it does help, and it's fun to have, right? I love feeling grateful. I love feeling relief. So when I accept that I have that car, I fully accept it. I don't question it. It's a full done deal. I become the version of Michael that has that. And when I accept that, that unlocks for me, remember, don't worry if it doesn't happen to you, but for me personally, I kind of have an added bonus of those emotions. So for me, it's gratitude or excitement or fulfillment or sometimes pride, depending on what it is. But that alone, like all that, I can only feel that because I have changed my beliefs. For me, when I feel that emotion come afterwards, like a wave, that it only lasts for a couple seconds, but I feel it. I notice a shift within myself. Sometimes there's no emotion. It's just I feel lighter. But whatever that is, it's because I stepped into a different belief. In other words, the moment I hit that mark and my arrow landed right on the target, I instantly changed who I believed I was in that moment for however long that lasted. And my job is to keep pulling the arrow back and letting it hit the target. It's again and again and again, and I keep doing that. And if I want anything to change in my 3D, it's my job to start practicing being consistent with that. I have to catch my awareness when my desire hits me, and I have to choose, am I going to sin, which is to miss the mark? In other words, I'm going to look here, 3D, circumstances, girlfriend or boyfriend didn't text me. They posted a picture on Instagram with another person's hand in the picture at the dinner table, and now I'm going to go stalk them. Like whatever, all that crap is you missing the mark. You're supposed to practice being able to look at that with indifference, understanding this is the true reality. And if you trust this more than all this crap out here, then and more on top of that, you focus more on pulling that bow and arrow back and boom, letting it hit the target again and again, knowing that this is the true reality. That is when you are going to realize that each day that passes, it gets a little easier. It gets a little more believable. It becomes something that you start getting excited about, right? At first, you might feel crazy, or you might feel natural at it. It might be enjoyable for you. But your job is to keep hitting that mark. Your job is to continue focusing on the end result, or what I call the light at the end of the tunnel. And that light at the end of the tunnel is something that I always return to. I don't look at my 3D and feel bad about it. I don't look at, what's around me, what I heard, what I saw. It doesn't matter. What matters is that light at the end of the tunnel is already existing because creation is finished. And therefore, I have to hit that mark. I have to go to where I would prefer to be in my inner world. And I accept this. I become who this person is. I become that version of Michael, of myself. And by doing that, I stepped into new beliefs. And when I step into those new beliefs, by returning to that, I make it a habit. Therefore, my self-concept has changed. And if my self-concept has then changed because I made it a habit to enter that state where I already have it, therefore, my self-concept has changed through just me returning to the state. And that is where pretty much people are going to get their success. And that also is the part that people miss a lot on, right? It's so simple. I'm telling you guys, you can do this. It's just consistency. It's discipline. It's, are you going to do it? Are you going to realize that I have a desire, a mark I want to hit? And are you going to aim at it and then hit that arrow right on the target? Or are you going to simply know that there's a mark, but then choose to aim over here and then whiff it and just completely miss it, right? Like, of course you don't want to do that. Does that make sense? If you know that landing right here is going to get you your desire eventually, if you keep returning to right here, right? And instead you consciously decide, I'm going to pull my arrow back and just hit it over there. Does that make sense that you should be upset or shocked at the results out here a week from now? No, right? Therefore, that's how you got to look at life. It's so illogical to do that. So when it comes to self-concept, guys, I want you all to really understand that it's about choosing who you are going to become every moment of your day. And I don't mean every second of every 24 hours that passes through, you have to make that choice, because that's crazy. That's too much effort. But it's when you crave your desire, that's when you give it to yourself, because you have to remember that self-concept, when you enter that state of having that fulfillment, it already implies you already have those things, and it implies that your beliefs are already aligned with having it. How can you be in fulfillment but then have a bad self-concept regarding that topic? You can't be in two states at once. It makes no sense. So when you enter fulfillment again and again and again and again, and you practice returning to that, and having fun with that in fun different ways, right? You fast forward 3 months, you fast forward in your head maybe a year, you kind of put yourself in the perspective of having it already for 6 months, and then you're looking back on your current reality, right? Which you think is the present, but it's not. Your present is in here, right? Everything out here is dead. All this was already created. This is creation is finished, right? If I know that my imagination eventually, my inner world gets pushed out, then it logically makes sense. I'm only going to focus on my inner world. And therefore, I'm going to keep hitting that mark straight down the middle. I'm not going to go here or there or up there or down here. And it's going to be fun for me, guys. So when you practice returning to a state of the wish fulfilled, and you make that a habit, that habit then becomes who you are. That state that you chose to hit the mark on every time becomes your natural dwelling state, as Neville Goddard would say. And when it becomes your natural dwelling state, that means your self-concept has then changed along with your, with everything else that comes with that state. All of you watching now are at one point in a natural, including me, I have a natural dwelling state. You all have a natural dwelling state. And unless you have your desire, then your natural dwelling state currently is not of the one of having it. And that's okay, because we can change that in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks, so, and it might take you a bit longer. It's okay, right? I tell people all the time, give yourself 30 days, but do it. Don't half-ass it. Don't put a little bit in and then take 20 times the amount out. Do it with conviction. Do it with trust. Do it with an open mind. Do it, with the eyes of a scientist. Why would you pollute and corrupt your own experiment, right? Test this out. Have fun. As Neville would say, test him and see, right? So when I tell you guys, I want you to hit your mark, I'm telling you, enter the state of fulfillment. And when you keep returning to that awareness of having something, then you are entering the new beliefs that are required for you to have it. And like I said earlier, it's when you make that a habit, it becomes who you are. And remember, you manifest who you are, not what you want. You can sit there wanting that thing all you want, but wanting it implies lack. When you're sitting in there 8 hours a day, I want it so bad, I wish it was here. That's not where you want to sit. It's okay to realize, I miss it, I want it so bad right now, I wish I had it, and then catch yourself, this mental diet, realizing, wait a minute, if I sit here, this is not good, because I'm embodying not having. So of course, if that's my natural dwelling state, I'm going to experience more not having. So in that moment, you catch your brain and you choose to pull back your bow and arrow, and right then and there you let go and you hit that mark. Instead, you give it to yourself. Whatever you're craving, you give it to yourself. And I want you to have fun doing it. Do it in any way that you prefer, but make sure you do it. And that's the part that so many people miss, is they just don't do it. So I kind of hope that made sense for you guys. I kind of ranted a little bit, but in the end, I wrapped it all together good, I think. This is a topic I'll continue to talk about more in more videos, and I just appreciate you guys for all the support and all the likes and all this, all you new subscribers and stuff like that. So thank you very much. And all you recent clients I've worked with, it was a pleasure to work with you all. Every single one of you has ended the call so motivated and just ready to attack the world in a fun way. So I look forward to the new clients, and I look forward to, all your successes, whether you're a viewer or someone that works with me. So all I ask is, if you made it this far, please, if you got anything of value from this video, all I ask is give me a thumbs up, a like on this video. If you didn't get anything of value, then don't worry, you don't have to do anything, right? It's only if you got value from this video of any form. So that being said, I love you all very much, and I look forward to the next video. So take care, guys, and happy hunting.